Yeah, you blew it.
four, 4 weeks, 4 guests, and 4 incredible entrepreneurial stories. Each one has built a successful business, and every one of them has roots in the ClickFunnels world. Different backgrounds, different journeys, but unique lessons from building real online businesses. And we'll be diving deep into how ClickFunnels has helped power their growth. Now, the strategies, the struggles, and wins behind the scenes, these are real entrepreneurs sharing what actually works. Join us as we talk with entrepreneurs powered by ClickFunnels and hear the stories behind their success on tonight's special episode of Pitch Practice, the show. My name is Mark, and I am the guy behind the Mental Marketer and the private Facebook group Funnel Building 101. I teach the newest art and science of funnel building to help content creators sell other people's stuff.
Brandon here, your Chief Business Strategist with Brandon Growth Lab, helping you take your small business to the top of the local marketplace by solidifying that brand and stopping your business from missing all of those leaky leads.
Awesome. Awesome. I like that, Brandon. Stop your business from leaking those leads. What's up? What's up? How about the special 4-week episode that we have on on track for the next couple weeks?
I'm looking forward to it. We got a fantastic lineup of solid funnel builders and marketers coming on board, looking to tell their story and how they got started and how their journey has been. We've met each one of these people in person, either at a Funnel Hacking Live or a Connect event, and we've heard their story. We're inspired by their stories. We want to help get their stories out to everybody, to show them like you don't have to have the skills like right out the gate. Like a lot of people are self-taught. We're pretty much self-taught, and we've had some success in this journey just as they have. So you always got to start from somewhere, and looking forward to doing a little bit deeper dive on their stories and taking some nuggets back to see what we can do to improve what we're working on.
Absolutely. I always, I'm absolutely, honored with the position that we find ourselves in inside this community. And I always try to think, when I first started in the community, what are some things that I would have loved to have seen? And it's just really cool that it's sort of a full circle moment where we're able to say, hey, you know what? I think there are people out there that could benefit from, hearing the stories of some of the people that we've been able to connect with, because we're bringing on some just amazing entrepreneurs. Like I said, 4 different entrepreneurs, a lot of different unique strategies, but they're all unique and talented in their own special way. So, and that's how we all are. Not everyone is a cookie cutter. I'm the mental marketer. You're the digital plumber. And there's other people out there, like today's guest is just an amazing designer. And I wish that I had some of the skills that she had. I know. So I'm excited to get into that and really learn from some of the other people in the community as well. So if you're watching out there, give us a hashtag where you're watching from, smash that like button, smash the heart button, and give our guests some love. I think that's probably what most people are here to see. They're not here to see us, Brandon.
No, not this time.
Nice. All right. So right today, let's start off with our first guest on tonight's special episode. We have ClickFunnels Ambassador, Canvassador, and Chief Creative Officer Alyssa Aviles. or as she told me when we first met, just call me Lyss. But she's an awesome creative, a talented funnel builder, and she's built funnels for 7 and 8 figure business owners. She's basically the resident design expert and just an all around amazing person. So we're happy to welcome her on the show tonight to geek out about all things ClickFunnels and online marketing. Let's welcome to the show Alyssa Aviles.
What's up? Hey. Yay. Good to hang out with you guys.
All right. I did it right this time.
This is good.
Awesome. Hey, Lyss, how are you today?
What's up, you guys? I'm good. I'm doing good. It's 8 p.m. here in Florida. I'm feeling good. I'm a night owl. So, I feel like the party is just getting started.
What part of Florida are you in?
What?
What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in St. Petersburg currently.
Okay. I spent 10 years down in Tampa area myself. So
okay, nice.
I miss the beach.
Oh, yeah. The beach is really nice. I love
hate the sand, miss the beach.
Yes.
I can imagine. I'm sure your weather is up there. We don't want to talk about your weather, but you're a night owl. Okay. Before we start geeking out, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to everyone out there watching and tell us, tell everyone out there watching who you are and tell us your story and how you became who you are today.
Ooh, it could be a long story, but I'll give you guys the really, kind of short version of it. But you did a good job introducing me. Hi, my name is Alyssa Aviles, but my friends call me Lyss. And I've been a creative my whole life. I consider myself a multi-passionate creative, and I'll share a little bit of my story, and you guys are gonna see how it kind of pieced together, because I'm gonna be honest, I never saw myself being in the position I am today and doing what I'm doing today. Like, I was fully convinced that I would just kind of be, starving artist, working at a cafe. I loved being a barista. I was a barista for many, many years. I want to open up my own coffee shop at some point. But, my future was just like, maybe I'll open up a coffee shop and maybe I'll do art on the side and maybe I'll do a little bit of graphic design here and there. And I was a photographer for a really long time. I did photography for about 10 years professionally. So I did headshot. I started with weddings, very quickly learned how to do weddings. I did not like shooting weddings. And then I started doing brand portraiture, and I really loved doing brand portraiture. And so I was doing photography all the time, really loved it, needed my own website. So then all of a sudden I started playing with website design and figuring that out. And then also, while I'm being a photographer and getting paid for photography and learning how to do a website, I also decided, why not? Let me also learn graphic design. Let's just do all the digital, creative sort of stuff. So I was doing all of these different things at the same time. And so it is really wild, getting to this point, because for anyone listening, you just never know what opportunities are going to come your way. And you just never know how you can actually add all of your skill sets into a career that you love and something that you really enjoy doing. And it's so funny, because when I went to college, I originally want to be a veterinarian. I know that was surprises people too. They're like, what? You want to be a barista?
Wow. Photography, barista.
Always separate. So, but the college I went to did not have a program. So then I was like, well, I'll do advertising. So then I went and sat in the first advertising class, and I was like, I want to do the creative behind the advertising, not all the strategy and coming up the concepts and the plans. And so, it's funny because I wanted to apply for the graphic design program there. You had to take 2 years of art classes before you could apply for the program. So I spent 2 years in the studio, drawing, doing all of this stuff, go to apply for the graphic design program, and they denied me. They rejected me. They said my portfolio wasn't good, and there's no way that I could be a graphic designer. And I was devastated. So I had to create my own degree. They have a degree called interdisciplinary studies where you can like, mix and match degrees. So that's what I did. And it's so funny that like, that's my bachelor's degree is in interdisciplinary studies, because as I look back, I'm like, I really did just create my own career path.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that funny? So yeah, I eventually graduated from that school, and then I found a community college that taught graphic design. So that's how I did end up learning how to actually become a graphic designer. And I'll encourage you, because Mark, you said that you wish that you could, design and make these really cool things. The good news is anybody can. You can design some cool stuff.
Hold that thought, because we're going to have to get some tips from you. Okay.
I promise you and Brandon can design really cool things. Okay. I've taught so many people how to do it. Once you learn like the basic principles, anybody can design. We could talk about that a little bit later. We'll like circle back on that. But yes, I went to graphic design school. Before I graduated, I had job offers. I had multiple job offers from agencies. But I knew I wanted to freelance, even though I knew nothing about business. So it did not go well. Spoiler, it did not go well. I was like, I got this.
You don't lose, but you learn. And that's what you do is you learn what you do want to do by trying out so many things.
Yeah, awesome. You try and you fail. And I think some people are afraid to fail. Even I'm afraid to fail at times. Like, I feel like I'm kind of in that season a little bit right now, which we'll also talk about in a bit. But I graduated, started freelancing, wasn't making enough money because I honestly just didn't know how to market my business. And I did really well as a photographer. I could design websites. I could do these things. It was just like so all over the place. So one day I met up with a friend of mine for lunch, and she's a career coach. And so she's like, look, you are missing a mentor in your life. You've got to find a mentor. And I was like, that's the last thing I want to look for, because mentors equals money. And I do not have any money right now. And I don't know if you guys have heard that from other people, where like they don't want to get in programs or they don't want to do any of that stuff because of the cost, right? Like, I don't know if you've heard those objections from people.
But it's interesting, because I think it's giving the money. It's really the thing that's going to get you the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting. But a lot of us try to avoid putting the money out there because we think I don't know. We don't, when money is, okay. But go ahead.
That can become an objection, right? So I was like, I don't know about this, but she's like, I promise you have to find a mentor. And so what I'm going to tell you is pretty cool, because she was getting coached by Lisa Nichols at that time. And if any of you guys don't know Lisa Nichols, she's a big name motivational speaker. And so she was getting coached by Lisa Nichols at the time. And I was like, okay. So then I go home and I start looking for a creative mentor of some sorts. So I kind of find some here and there. I kind of join, for a month to see, and I'm like, I'm not really vibing with this person. And then I thought I found someone, because she was like faith-based, and I'm a spiritual girly. So, like I found someone who was like faith-based and entrepreneurial. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But it was $97 a month. You couldn't even talk to anybody else in the community. It was just really accessing her and then accessing like some of her templates and stuff like that. But it still was like missing something for me. And so then I'm like in tears one day, sitting on the edge of my bed. I'm doom scrolling on Facebook, and I see an ad of this guy holding a 2 Comma Club award. And I only knew what the 2 Comma Club was because since I was doing websites, Russell was running ads that were talking about how websites are crappy. And so like I started looking into ClickFunnels because he was making all of these ads against websites. And I learned about what a 2 Comma Club was through that. And so I recognized the award. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And the copy really resonated with me. The copy was this about the tug of war between faith and entrepreneurship. And it was an invitation to join a free 30-day masterclass, which now we call challenges. And so it was for Pedro. It was for Pedro Dale. And so this is how I met Pedro. Yep. So I click on his funnel. You guys are going to crack up with this. And I might have told you this story, but for anyone who's new, you guys will crack up with this. So I click on his ad to go to his funnel. funnel is super ugly. Like super ugly. And so like initially I'm like, this guy has made $1 million and he cannot hire a designer to up level his brand. And so then, but then I'm like, okay, I'll give it a pass. So then I go to like fill out the application. It's like all of these questions. So I go to fill out the application, and before I fill it out, I'm like, let me look up this guy. Let me just see like what the internet has to say about him. So then I go to Google, I type in his name. Nothing comes up for him. He doesn't even have a website. Like he had like nothing. And I was like, okay, again, red flag. This guy is making 7 figures and cannot invest in like a simple website. And like I was judging. So that was like straight number 2 for me. Then I go to actually like submit the application on the funnel and it didn't work. And so then I'm like, oh, so now he's got a broken funnel. So now I'm like, that's strike number 3. This has to be a scam. But the copy was so good. It just resonated so much. I was like, you know what? Like, let me just see. I'm going to message the guy. Let me just see. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, your funnel's broken. I try to do this application. It's not working. He's like, oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I'll just add you in. Don't even worry about it. This is before Pedro got big. So he could actually like respond to it. So
that's funny. That is so funny.
So I got in his group. And he ran a 30-day. This is before challenges were big. So this is in 2018 in the summertime. So at this point, I'm not really familiar with the online marketing space. At this point, remember, I'm broke. I met with my friend. She tells me to find a mentor. I find this guy's ad. I join his free 30-day challenge. I fall in love with the community and I fall in love with the idea of having him as a mentor. I'm like, this guy has encouraged me so much and has given me so much value in the last 30 days. Like, I want to keep going with this. And this was his very first offer. I want to say it was $1,500 back then for a 12-month mentorship with Pedro, which I know you guys are going to be like, what? And for those of you who are listening, you'll find out why this is a big deal here in a bit. So I sold whatever I could in our house to make the money for that mentorship. And I talked to my husband about it. I was like, hey, you know, like, I really want to do this. He's like, I've seen you take more action in the last 30 days. I've seen a change in you in the last 30 days. I think you should do it. You have my full support. Sell whatever we need to sell to get in that program. So I did. And that was really hard for me. Like back then, that was really, really hard for me because we still have debt, but like back then it was like, we were in a ton of debt. Like it was hard to pay the bills, you know? And so we did all that. I got in the group and I just fell in love with the community and flew out to California to meet him and to meet others. And at this time it was really small. I know this also kind of sounds a little cultish. So like my parents and my friends were like, you're flying to California to meet a guy that you just randomly found on the internet to coach you, you know?
We're all a little bit of the 1% crazy for sure.
Yeah, just a little crazy. It's fine. And I won't fill you guys in on all the like little details, but we hit it off over in California and some really cool things happened over there. And so when I got back home, I had kind of really felt like I should design for this guy. For like, I had felt like I'm a spiritual girly, disclaimer, I believe in God, right? So like, I had felt like God told me design for Pedro for free for 1 year, which is absolutely insane. I am not telling you guys who are listening to this episode to do what I'm doing, okay? I'm just sharing my story because this is honestly advice I would never really give someone, right? But I had really felt like design for him for free for 1 year. So I had been already posting stuff inside the community for free. I had been designing these really cool wallpapers on Canva. I had been he would do like a training and I would take that training and I would make it into a workbook and I would share it into the community for free. I was already doing that stuff. And then one day he called me and he's like, hey, you know, like, I love what you're doing. I thought I was in trouble, but he's like, I love what you're doing. This is really cool. The community really loves it. What are your rates? Like, let me hire you. Let's work together. And I was like, hey, you know, this is going to sound kind of crazy. Let's just trial it. Let's just see what it's like working together. I'm not going to charge you. Like, let's just see how this is. And so like, that was our working relationship. It was just kind of like, he would call out every so often. I would do stuff for him. And back then still was not famous. So the workload was light. Okay. It was light. It wasn't as bad. And so I did that. And then we got along really well. He's in California. I'm in Florida. So time zone difference and all that stuff. But we worked really well with each other. And then for anyone who doesn't know who he is, in 2020, in April, we had a really big successful challenge where I want to say on the back end of it, he had made like $2 million on the back end of this challenge. And back then, that was kind of like unheard of. That was like not really a thing in the marketing space to make that much money on a challenge. So, and he had run a challenge before that I'd done also really, really well. And so at that point, what's happening is like he's getting coaching now from Russell. And so like now all of them are asking him for advice on challenges. And so he becomes the challenge guy and just things blow up overnight. It just goes crazy overnight. And I'm his designer behind the scenes. And so he's like, do you want to work full time for me? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. So it was me and him. Like I would build out the funnels. He would do the copy. He did, he would call me up and be like, okay, I have this crazy idea. Here's what we're going to call the challenge. It's going to be a free challenge. We're going to do this VIP and this is what it's going to include. And this is what we're going to do. Here's the idea. Here's the audience. I'm like, okay, got it. I would build it out. Then he would go in, adjust the copy, and we would just kind of tag team with each other, building out this stuff. And we were able to turn it out around really fast. I'm going to be honest, my funnels sucked. Like they were not great, but I learned over time. So like I learned ClickFunnels Classic. I was willing to try something new. But I have Pedro to thank for like encouraging me to even learn about funnels in the first place and to even get in there and to play with funnels in the first place. So, that is a big reason of why I'm in the ClickFunnels community. A big reason as to why I've worked with many of the other big names in the space is because of him. I always give credit where credit's due. Like it really is because of him that I've been given these opportunities, and he's referred me to his friends. And in a full circle moment, he's friends with Lisa Nichols and consulted with Lisa Nichols. So I got to design a challenge for her, which is really cool. So like, it's so fun getting to share this and encourage people with this, because like, you really never know how your life can change and what is possible and what can happen. So since then, I am not full-time with Pedro. We kind of scaled back on what we were doing together. And now I just kind of get pulled in every so often. But it was, man, let me tell you, it was 6 years of nonstop chaos.
I think, my goodness, I've gotten so many just golden nuggets and lessons in your story so far. You talk about how you just don't know, but he gave you the opportunity. And funnel builders, people aren't born. We aren't born funnel builders. We aren't born great, marketers. But what happens is we're put in a position where we have the ability to practice it. And you got that 100%. I'll let Brandon ask questions because I'll take up all the time.
You're good. And I've got time. So
I know Brandon.
You guys are good.
Yeah, it's not so much a question. It's just kind of commenting on the story itself. I mean, you saw a problem in the marketplace, or at least with one marketer, in trying to solve your own problem itself. And it takes a lot of guts to reach out to somebody and say, hey, your stuff's broken. You never know what kind of answer you're going to get back from them. You don't know if they're going to be rude and say whatever, piss off, or what do you even know? And it's a big leap to do, and there's no you miss. Basically what I'm trying to say is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So you took your shot, you made it, which is absolutely awesome and great. And when Pedro was at Funnel Hacking Live and he told his story, I think it was 3 years ago. Yeah, it was about 3 years ago, and he's talking about his first funnel, and he was like, just put it up. It doesn't matter how good it looks. His logo was the actual font in ClickFunnels 1.0. Yeah. And it just rocked and rolled with it. And you made a Facebook post the other day asking like what makes, or ask me any questions about funnels. And I was like, why
I
do
saw
ugly
that.
funnels? Why do ugly funnels convert? Right? It's like
Uh-huh.
I've seen the ugliest things on the web ever. Just an ugly landing page. The font's ridiculous with an opt-in form, and they're running ads to it. You know, if they're running ads to it, it has to be working. So, you know, it just goes to show that the craziest things can happen if you just take that chance and stick your neck out there.
Yeah. It's funny how Brandon asked about why do ugly funnels convert, and then you talked about how ugly Pedro's funnel was, but you talked about the copy, and you talked about the copy and how good the copy was. I thought that was quite ironic.
But that's such a core principle because, and I had responded back to Brandon's post. Like a lot of times we see those convert really well because of the messaging. Like the messaging and the copy is so good that you don't have any other option but to opt in and try it out and see, right? Like you're so curious about it. And so, you know, like for me as a designer, naturally, like when I see ugly ads, I look up the person. I like to see if they're legit. Like I'm a little bit more like skeptical with a lot of stuff, but like most people aren't, right? Most people, like if the copy is strong enough, it will really draw them in. And that's honestly also when I'm doing like conversion rate optimization stuff too. Like we typically test copy first. We test the messaging first before we even do any of the design stuff, because just swapping the headline. I had one client, we were running a challenge, and we have been running this challenge for like over a year. And I was like, you know, people are probably starting to get fatigued. I think we got to change like the headline. We got to change something with the headline. And so I had changed like just like the hook, and it converted about like, it was a big jump. It was like a 14% jump from like day 1 to day 2. And I was like, whoa. So then we took the one that was the winner and then, you know, made a new version of that. And then we tested like some of the colors and like some more of the other little details. But that's why we always look at copy first before we do any of the design stuff. So that's a good, like, you know, pro tip there for anyone who's doing funnel building stuff. Yeah, nice. It's been fun, man. It's been quite the journey, and the space has changed a lot over the years. Like just everything has changed in the marketing world with like the methods that are working, and I don't see as many like challenges are my jam because I've done so many of them. Like I could fall asleep and design a challenge in my dreams, you know. But like the space has changed so much. I'm not seeing as many challenges right now. I'm seeing a lot more like webinars, low ticket offers, things like that. But not only that, but even how you build funnels is different these days too. So, but I'll take any other questions before we roll into other things.
What I think years ago, you would see people doing these 30-day challenges, but you don't see very many 30-day challenges anymore. I think people really drop off after a few days because people just don't have the time. But I do have a question. Awesome. So I remember, you know, something that you said when you reached out to Pedro, and you said that you were afraid to fail. And I think there's a lot of people out there that that don't really take that leap. You know, I think I posted something yesterday from Russell Brunson, what he put on his Instagram page, and he basically said, "You're not stuck. You're just afraid to make that uncomfortable move." What advice would you give to someone out there and on that might be experiencing that same thing, that's just not, they need the courage to step forward and you know, reach out to that person, make that call, or get unstuck?
Yeah, so it's so funny that we're talking about this because I just wrote a post about this in my school community yesterday. I called it the practice of resilience. And there's a proverb that says, "A righteous man falls 7 times and yet rises again." And so I was thinking about that because I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little discouraged lately with what I'm kind of seeing in the marketing space. And I'm like, man, the creative industry is changing so much. And like, I'm still kind of torn between like human first, AI, like we're in this like very hot topic conversation sort of thing right now, right? So for anyone that's kind of in this place of like being afraid to fail, I totally understand that. To be honest, like that is why I haven't really focused. Like I kind of noticed that. Okay, let me rewind a little bit more. I'll rewind a little bit more before we get into this. So like I have struggled massively with mindset stuff. I am still working on mindset stuff. Like I'm doing coaching with another guy named Alan Saltnick, who is an absolutely amazing marketer, full of wisdom. And I've been doing mindset stuff with him. And like every week he does like a mindset coaching call and talks about limitations and beliefs and things like that. And I've been starting to like recognize a lot of this stuff even in my own life. And what I realized was I kept starting all of these little projects, but never finishing them. And for me, I was like, well, it's because I don't really have time. Like I'm helping this person build their stuff. I'm helping this person do their stuff. And I'm like, it's just part of my personality. I'm an Enneagram type 2. I love people. I love helping people. You know, I'll like, this is just like who I am. And, you know, I'll drop everything to work on somebody else's brand. And what I realized was I was putting myself off because I'm afraid to fail. And like, I'm afraid to fail again, even though I look back at my story and I'm like, I've failed so many times and it's only gotten better. But it's also this like, it's not just like that I'm afraid to fail. It's also like shifting out of this season of comfort and stepping back into being uncomfortable. And so like for anybody that's in this, I know it sucks. I know it sucks because there are times where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to really do this anymore. I should just be a barista again. You know, like let's just go. Like I want to go sit in the middle of the redwoods and like do nothing. I don't want to do any of that, right? But at the same time, I think about like the impact, and I think about like who's going to be touched, and I have to continuously remind myself of like, what is the end goal here? It's not for me to make $1 million. I do like, that would be great. Yes, I would love that. But like, that is not the end goal for me. My end goal is impact and changing lives. And so like, it's worth me failing and falling and rising up again as many times as I need to, if it's going to change and impact somebody's life. And so that is like I'm getting a little emotional with that. That's like the constant reminder for me to like, keep on going. And I have heard like, even on Friday, I was teaching inside of Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's group, and I was talking about personal branding in a world of AI. And we were doing these exercises together. And like during these breakout sessions, they were having like so much transformation. And just like seeing that and feeling that, I was like, okay, I need to start investing time in myself and doing my own funnels and doing my own things. And I need to be willing to fail again, just to see what happens and just try it out. So if any of you guys are in this position, as sucky as it is, you know, you can use like Claude, like Alan was encouraging people to use Claude or ChatGPT to kind of like pull some prompts out of you to discover like what could be holding you back. Is it the fear of failing? Is it the fear of succeeding? Is it the fear of what other people are going to say? Like really getting to the root of that, and then figuring out, okay, like what is the next step that you need to take? Like even if it's a small little thing. So for me, I have all of my little things planned out, but I'm like, okay, my next focus is I'm going to work on this. And then once I'm done with this, release it to the world. It doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to work on this one, and just kind of keep on going. So yeah, that's a loaded answer to your question.
Well, no, I mean, it's a great answer, because I can tell you definitely you're not the only passenger on that bus. I would say I've been on that bus more times than I'd like to admit. I probably say I'm in it now, and I guess it's like, you know, I get super excited to start a build, and it's like I get 75%, 80% done. It's like I'm kind of bored with this. You know what I mean? And then it's not so much like for myself, it's worse, because then for myself, I'm like 50 to 60% into the build, then I get kind of bored with this. And then try to find that next, I wouldn't say shiny thing, but next offer to try to promote. And it's tough to like, I guess, get out of that rut a little bit. And the thing is like, all right, the build's pretty much done. Do I launch it? Do I run ads to it? Do I try to just promote it organically? What if it doesn't work? What if it does work? The biggest scary, like
Yeah,
Like,
if it does
the,
work.
the biggest scary thing is what if it does work? Because then you got to fulfill, and that's a little bit scarier. That's a little bit scarier than failing. Because if it fails, like, all right, it failed. I don't got to do anything else with it. It failed, right? You just trash it and move on. But if it works, it's like, oh, now you gotta collect. You got to make sure people continue to pay.
Yeah.
You got to make sure they get the product.
You have to answer the
customer
call
service if it doesn't work. And it's like, it's a lot. So I totally understand where you're sitting at with that part of it. So
it's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. And we're not alone in that. I feel like I don't see a lot of people talking about that in the space necessarily. Like, that is why it's so important to be in a community where you can discuss these things. And like, I would say that's the other thing that will keep you going is just encouragement. Like I have, I know you guys have a community, like I have my own school community, and like, I now post about these things in that community just so they know, like, yes, I'm an expert. Yes, I've had this experience, but I also really heavily struggle with all these things. Like my life is not all like, yay, like, oh, amazing. I'm just one foot away, it's like, I have to show them the reality of this too, because like, I never saw that even in like the branding and website space and photography space. Like when I was really in that, I didn't really see the struggle behind the scenes. And of course this is a different struggle that I'm seeing, but like, I'm like, man, like I wish more people would be open about this and talk about this, because then I feel at the same time, maybe we wouldn't be struggling with this as much if we saw that it's normal that other people are feeling the same way, So yeah, man, this summer went real deep.
Well, hey, another question here, because just wanted to definitely want to get some of the good golden nuggets out of you about, because you talked about you were in the challenge with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. So were you taking part in that? Are you on their team now? Is that something you do now?
Okay, that's a good question. So this is crazy. So I go live on TikTok every once in a while. I love TikTok. I know some people don't love TikTok. I love TikTok. I'm a TikTok girly. I realize like when I do a lot of my presentations and I tell case studies, most of them are from TikTok. And so I love the app. And so I go live on there at like, I don't know if I have ADD and I'm just like now discovering this, but like, I feel like I have to sometimes body double. So I feel like if I go live while I'm working, like it keeps me accountable, but then other people can also kind of see and learn from the process. So I was going live on TikTok, like every so often, just to show behind the scenes while I'm working. And I just set up I have a little tripod. I set up my phone. I connected to my computer so the phone doesn't die. I play some lo-fi music and I just have text that's like, watch me design. And so it's typically like Canva and Clickfunnels. So, I was going live for a few months, and every so often this one girl kept popping into my feed, and her name is Galen. Shout out Galen. And she kept popping into my feed, and she would leave me gifts, because on TikTok Live, you can like, spend money to buy gifts and gift other creators. And so she kept sending me gifts, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. So anytime I saw her pop in, like I would get really excited. We would talk a little bit, via the chat and the live. And so she was like, hey, do you do any coaching? And I was like, coaching or training. And I was like, yeah, like I do it every so often. I had been kind of training in Pedro's communities. And then like some of his students had me come into their communities and like do trainings on Canva and branding and ClickFunnels and funnel foundations and things like that. And so she's like, okay, like what's your, some of your email, and I'll email you. So then sure enough, she emails me, and it had Mastermind Business Academy, which is Tony and Dean's program. And so she emailed me. She's like, it was me and one other person. She's like, hey, I just want to introduce you. This is Lyss. I found her on TikTok. She's super talented. She teaches Canva and she does ClickFunnels. So like, I had no idea that she was part of this program and part of their team. And she found me randomly on TikTok out of all places. And so they offered me a 3-hour paid coaching gig. So the first one was on Canva. And so I did that back in October. And they have a very structured way with how they do their workshops. They're 3-hour workshops, they're long workshops, but they have like a certain method with how they do it. And so, you know, we have to meet beforehand, come up with the game plan, come up with the schedule. It's a lot more like structured than improv like I'm used to. But I did that workshop and I got really good ratings. I had like a really high show up rate for my call, for their group, for like what they normally get. And then they always do like a feedback survey afterwards. So I met with them and we did the feedback, and most of them liked it. Some people felt like it was still a little too overwhelming, that it was a lot of content. So I got to learn in the process too. But while we were on the follow-up call, the person coordinating everything was like, would you have any interest coming back and doing another session? And I was like, yeah, what do you want me to talk on? So we decided on branding. So they invited me back a second time to do this convo. So we'll see if I get invited again. We'll see. That all came from TikTok and going live on TikTok. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. You know what? They can't flow you if they don't know you. Is that what Grant Cardone says? What does he say, Brandon?
Pretty much. If they don't know you, they can't flow you. So I mean, being exposed like that. I mean, in TikTok right now, like even though it went through its sale or potential shutdown and all that kind of stuff, like it's still one of the best organic social media platforms out there, as long as you're feeding into the algorithm and doing all their little tricks. Yeah, I've been on there since, I don't know, 2022 maybe, because I think they came out in 2020. I've still yet to crack the code. I got upset when they were like shutting down and then coming back, and I probably need to just get back in there. But it's like, I don't know. It was weird after they shut down and came back. It just didn't feel weird. Right. Yeah, it just didn't feel right. It was like, I don't know. Maybe I just need to set it aside.
Algorithm change. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're not alone. It did change a little bit, but yeah, for you, especially like with all your knowledge and what you do, like I would get on, if you have the ability to go live on TikTok, I would go live. And you know, like I don't get a ton of people. Like the most I've had is probably 20 people on, but most of the time it's like 2 people are watching at a time. You know, like there's times it spikes and there's times where it's like 1 or 2. I feel like if I were more consistent, I would probably get more, because the algorithm wants to see. That's the thing, is they want consistency. So when I'm more consistent, the views go up. But if I take a break, then it's like views are up and then they just go down and down, down, you know. And it's also timing. I find I get more of an audience in the evening than I do like early in the morning or in the middle of the day while I'm working. But I feel like you'll do really well on there. Yeah, people love nice coaching.
I did go live one time, but it was something completely off, like kilter schedule. I was getting my bathroom redone, and I had to do the demo. Like that was part of the deal to kind of save a couple grand or whatever. Is I had to do the demo. So I was like, you know what? I see a lot of people doing this kind of stuff on TikTok. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I don't remember what I talked about for what it was, but I ended up going live. And I think at one point in time, I had like 1,400 people watching me tear up my bathroom.
What?
Yeah. Just watching me tear up and telling me how terrible I was at tearing up my bathroom. I was like, who cares? Like, you know, keyboard warriors like telling me that I'm like doing it wrong and tearing up my bathroom. But I have a house built in 1899 or something like that. Okay. So it's mortarboard, plaster, and like built to withstand a bomb blast for the most part in some of these walls. Yeah. And so it was a mess. It was dusty, and it wasn't fun at all to tear down the walls, but it eventually got done. It took me about 6 hours to do it. I think I was live for like 4.
Wow.
Doing it. And I had like 1,400 people. I think I ended up making like 25 cents from it.
Wow. What are the requirements to go live?
I don't know. I just had the requirement. I don't know if there's like a follower count at that point in time, but I just was allowed to go live. I think I still can, maybe. I don't know. But
I don't know. I think they changed it.
Yeah, they used to have like so many followers or whatever to be able to do it. And then they kind of opened it up, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. charge
Yeah.
for in my bathroom.
It's so funny. Well, apparently you got to do more demo.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to demo in the house or the money to do it. So, you know,
Yeah.
at 25 cents for 1,400 viewers, that ain't gonna pay the bills to start tearing my house out.
If only like the social media person from Lowe's or Home Depot was watching, right? Like that would have been like a new brand deal.
Yeah. Well, I want to get back to a couple more questions I have for you, because I want to because I think when you were talking and you said something that really, I was like, wow, that is really something, because we're all right now in the Funnel Builder coaching and certification program. Mm-hmm. And you said something about selling everything that you had to go all in. Tell us about that. Tell us about the commitment that it takes, because there's some people out there that, you know, you see them, they're like, I don't have the money. Mm-hmm. That's one of the big things that people say when you know, they're and we all know how much, well, you know, I think Russell's done a great job with the community inside that Funnel Builder coaching and certification program. I think the community is engaged, the encouragement is there, the support is there. There's some people out there that would love to, but they say they can't afford it. You sold everything that you could to go all in.
It's just random things. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, I should ask on my Facebook and see who would be interested in this. Like if I made a guide with how to sell on like Facebook Marketplace, Poshmark, eBay, whatnot. There's all these platforms now online that you can sell random things around your house. It doesn't even have to be like super valuable stuff. Like we have sold like decor pieces in the house, like stuff that we've bought at thrift stores. We've been able to like flip. My husband and I are very geeky, as you can tell, if you couldn't tell already. I've got this massive like Lego T-Rex behind me that I'm very proud of. And then I got my baby Yoda. So like we also had like a bunch of random like action figures and things like that. That stuff sells really well online. Books, like clothing. So they're now more than ever, there's so many different places that you can sell online. And back then for me, it was mostly eBay and Facebook Marketplace. So I just, whatever we had in our house that I thought was of value, and my husband had these like old collectibles, he was like, you could sell this stuff and use that. I sold clothing that I had. I would go to thrift stores and I would find things that I could probably flip and then, you know, try that. I have only recently kind of gotten into Poshmark, and then Whatnot is, it's not a newer app. It has been around for a while, but Gary Vee and Mr. Beast have made it more popular. So for anyone who's not familiar with that, it's a live auction app. I really do think that is kind of like the way of online shopping for the future. TikTok was already doing it with like live shopping, but it's live auction with Whatnot, which is why people really love it. So we are currently selling our VHS collection on Whatnot. But yeah, like back then, like I had a decision that I had to make, and you'll hear this often with a lot of sales people, where it's like, what do you want your life to look like 6 months from now? Do you want to try to figure it out on your own and spend all this time on YouTube videos trying to search all these things and getting all this different feedback and getting all these different things from different people, right? Or would you rather just get the answers, get the shortcuts from people who have done it, and get results quickly? And so, you know, for me with Pedro, like that was the thing. I was like, well, I need a mentor. I get along with this guy really well. It's faith-based. And even though he wasn't necessarily targeting creative entrepreneurs, like my field is very different than a typical like coach, I still had felt like it was really worth the investment. And so I just recently joined the funnel building certification program. So these guys have been trying to get me in this program forever.
Oh, so you just joined it with us too.
I just joined. Okay. So real talk. So like they've been trying to get me in the program for years. And I was like, I don't know, like maybe like it was a 10K investment. And I was like, I'm already building funnels for a lot of these big name guys. Like, do I want to go in the program when I'm already doing the work? And like, Am I paying
what
10K
advantage am I going to get by just paying this, right? I think that was something that Brett and I were really wrestling with too.
Yeah, I was really wrestling with it because I'm like, am I paying 10K just for the gold award? And like, you know, like I was really wrestling with it. And then it was supposed to be included in package that Pedro had bought for coaching, but we were just too busy. I never asked him to give me access to it, but I was supposed to get access to it at one point. And so then he just ran this one comma club challenge. And I was like, you know what? Let me hop in. Let me see. I always love watching Russell and seeing what challenges he's doing and seeing what he's up to and what he's teaching. And I know a lot of things have changed for ClickFunnels over the years. And so I just kind of like to see like what's going on. So I joined the challenge. I was like, this is cool. Like, I love how he's teaching the basics. I love how he's teaching the foundations. This is something that I would recommend to other people. And then he dropped the offer and I was like, this is insane. Like the value for the lifetime license alone for ClickFunnels, like that is insane. And so, I don't want to spoil the rest of the offer. I don't know if that was spoiling part of the offer, but hey, you guys, I don't even know if I was including that. But like that was a big deal because I was like, if you're getting the top tier of ClickFunnels lifetime, like you pay that off like within 2 years, I think it is, right? And then including the funnel building certification, I was like, well, that's insane because I knew this whole time it was worth like, you know, it was originally valued at 10K, or it was originally like not the value, that was the cost of it, was like 10K. And then like all the other things. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like, that's a no brainer. Like, you know, I definitely need to do that. But I know a lot of people who are on the fence because I had a friend call me literally like last week and she was like, talk to me about this offer. Like, I don't know what to do. Should I invest in it? Is it worth investing in? And so for any of you guys who are like that, where you naturally, I feel like will go through the objections in your head with like, okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I will say like, it is, you really have to have discernment in the marketing space because there's so many different people throwing so many different offers. And there are people that take advantage of people. I've seen it. There are scammy people in the space. I have had to fix the mistakes of experts and gurus who charge 3 times the amount that I typically charge. Like, there are not some good eggs in it. So I totally understand the skepticism with this. So my first bit of encouragement would be discernment, to really like do your research, look and see other testimonials, other reviews, what other people have to say about it. Which, spoiler alert, that's like a really good thing to have on your funnels. And so like see what other people are saying. Also, is this somebody that you can really trust and you see yourself doing the next few months of your life with, right? Like, can you see yourself continuously getting coaching with them? Did you kind of vibe with the audience and the community and like the live support and the coaches? Like, you really got to kind of like feel it out. And then if you're like, you know what, I know that this can change my life. I know that I can do this. Like, what I think is a really smart strategy that Russell's done this time that I don't think I've seen him do with any other offers is that he requested a deposit, and then you could choose if you wanted to pay in full or if you wanted to do like a payment plan. I actually really like that because it gives people time to actually take what they learned, put it into practice, and find their first client. And then figure out like, okay, if I can find my first client before Monday, I can pay for the program in full, or I could do the payment plan, right? So like, I do like that. Like, so discernment, really figuring out if this is something you want, selling stuff in your house, go for that. And then, you know, finding like, take what you learned from the challenge, apply it, make money from that, and then figure out, okay, can I invest it in paying for this thing, you know, in full? Do I do a payment plan? I think you also have to determine, like, I know some people will just be like, well, just put it on a credit card, you'll pay it off eventually. Like, have wisdom with that too, you know? But not all debt is bad, right? Some debt is good debt, especially if you're investing in yourself. So yeah, it really does vary person to person.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a struggle. You know, myself went through the same challenge, and obviously hear the same stories over and over again, because if you've been in the circle long enough, been to Funnel Hacking Live 4 years in a row, and you know, I don't know how many one funnel away challenges that, you know, they keep redoing that you go through anyway. And I was like trying to pay attention to it, but still obviously having to work because even though you do this as a side gig or possibly even a main gig, like you're still trying to work and learn and do all this other kind of stuff. And then Friday hits, and I didn't see the offer stack. I think Mark reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, did you see the offer?" And I was like, "No." And so like I go back to it, and I saw it, and I was like, "What? Lifetime?" And I was like, that was like the biggest struggle, because I had just re-upped. Like for the year, like I just re-upped not 3 months prior. And it's like, and I paid annually from the Funnel Hacking Live a couple years ago when they went to 2.0. And it's like, that's a good bit of money to do that. But I mean, I've sold packages myself for that cost. It's like, all right, let's just float it for a little bit and find the one whale I need to get to that'll cover it and pay it off, and then it'll be profitable for that. But I mean, to have access to that platform for life, fingers crossed it's still up in the next 10 years, right? That's the only thing you really got to worry about, right? Let's do a little disclaimer there. A lifetime access is only for the lifetime of the product, right? So
as long as they're in business.
Yep.
As long as they're in business. But he's already been in business 10 years. I don't think he's going anywhere. He with I would say 25 to 30% of the internet is run on ClickFunnels. If he were to go down, he would take a lot of people down with him, and a lot of people would be very, very angry. So he has a big responsibility when it comes to the internet. So that was a justification to continue to go with it. And like I said, it was probably one of the better decisions. It was one of the scarier decisions to make. It was like, again, I purchased plenty of courses before, and it was like, I go through and I was like, this really wasn't it. This wasn't it. This wasn't it. I was like, this one has to be it. Like, I have to make it it. Because I don't, then I just got another thing on the shelf collecting dust that I haven't gotten through. So,
the thing about ClickFunnels though is that it is a tool to help you make money, and I think that with this offer, he's giving you a lot of other things to actually help you increase the amount of money that you can make with that offer. Those agency accounts, that's money in the bank right there.
Yeah.
You get those agency accounts, and then you can actually have people paying you monthly for a ClickFunnels account. Okay, then you can actually serve them too, because not only can you sell them on the actual monthly fee, but actually the add-on services too. And with going through the funnel builder certifications, we're all becoming expert funnel builders. And before we get out of here, I know we haven't really tapped into some of the designs, but
you're right good. I got time.
Yeah, I got time too. So let's start talking designs here. What do we start with? Do we start with a copy, or we start with the skeleton?
For someone like me who is, well, I always say that I don't feel like I'm but then I hear your story, and I don't know, seeing you today, Lyss, one would think, wow, you've always had this skill, because it seems so natural for you, and you've got, it seems like, oh, I'll just whip this together now. And I'm like, how could I?
It's taken years of practice though. That's what people don't see, right? So like I was literally on TikTok live right before I hopped on here with you guys, and I'm helping our other ambassador friend Alyssa with her funnel. And so, Speechworks by Alyssa. So I'm helping her with her funnel. So I was going live on TikTok, and she had a previous page, and one of my specialties is, I create like branded funnels, so rebranded funnels, like to refresh things. So I'm like the digital Joanna Gaines. If you guys know who Joanna Gaines is, like she goes into homes and then she like does that. I feel like I'm like that, but in the funnel world. So I was like redesigning her funnel, and for me, it's so natural. I could just do everything so quickly. And so Shayna and Alyssa were watching on TikTok, and they were like, oh my gosh, you're so fast. And I was like, well, it's taken the last 6 years of just being honestly thrown into it to learn how to design fast and to learn how to do this stuff quickly. And so, you know, I always have to like encourage people like that the skill is not going to come overnight. Like you do have to like practice, you do have to play, you do have to just kind of like take the time to like to see how things work and figure out how things work. So design, like you know, there's graphic design, and then there's like funnel design, there's website design. They all have their different strategies. And you were asking about like, so how do I design like in the funnels? And I guess like I'll tell you how I'm trying to think like, how do I want to start this conversation? Because like the elephant in the room is like with AI can now easily design for you within a few minutes. Like ClickFunnels has already added in, yes, I think they've added and made public the AI builder.
AI
and
builder.
like, okay, cool. I'm like, did they make it public?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So like, you know, they have the AI builder. I know I go high level. I'm sorry for saying that on here. I know like they have the AI builder too, right? Like
we will beep that out. We'll beep it out.
But like a lot of other funnel systems are starting to have AI funnel builders built in where you don't have to necessarily worry about the design. Like it will just do its own thing. I will say though, I have tested it and I'm not a fan of it. So, but that could also be because like I'm a little bougie with my design. So, like typically what I like to do, if people are new to funnel building, I always encourage them to start with a template, because for me, I would rather you save the time and understand how things are structured and just like you kind of working on what Pedro and I call like the sequence of the funnel page. So that is the order that we have the elements and why we have certain things in certain spots. Like I encourage people who are new, templatize it. Don't really think about the design. Just focus more on the copy, on the messaging, and where things belong on the page. If you have an audience that is like super emotional, they're the type that's just going to hand the credit card right away. Like you want to put the more important heartfelt, sentimental stuff towards the top where they're more likely just going to make that quick decision, right? But if you have an audience that's a really logical buyer, well, then you probably want to have more information as to like why they need to do this, and more information about what's included in this thing, and then more information about who you are, and then more information about all your testimonials and why you're awesome, and then reminding them about how awesome this is, right? The logical buyer is a way longer sort of funnel. So like, that's why I encourage people, like, don't necessarily worry about the design first. Like I consider that stuff part of the design too, the order that the funnel is going to be in. And then when you are ready to do the design, like with ClickFunnels, they have, thank God, made this so much easier because Classic was like a pain. So I'm so glad that they added style guides into ClickFunnels 2.0. That is like one of the best features that they've added. And for any of you guys who aren't familiar with it, and maybe you're familiar with Canva, like Canva has brand kits, which essentially lets you put in your fonts and your colors and you pre-assign different things. And ClickFunnels does the same thing where you could create a style guide where you put in your colors, you put in your fonts, you stylize your buttons, you stylize corners and shadows and like all these fine little details. And then you can apply that style guide to a funnel. And so if you use a template, it can apply those things to that template. And then when you're building from scratch, it will also apply those settings to whatever you're building. So for me personally, I like to build from scratch because I just find it fun. There's just something fun about having, I just had this realization. It's probably because like I used to love painting and just starting from an empty canvas. I'm starting to realize like, oh my gosh, maybe that's why I really like doing it from scratch, because people are like, why would you do it from scratch? But it's like, it's fun having this empty artboard and then like just building it out section by section and just adding the pieces in and layering the different things in. So I like to build from scratch. I typically will, it depends on if the client's giving me copy or not. Pedro's usually the only one that never gives me copy until the very last minute because he likes to do his own copy. So I just have to put in like fake placeholders, but I know him because I've worked with him for so long. I already know like what he wants on the funnel, where he wants it. And then he just goes in and does his thing. But like for a lot of my other clients, they have a copywriter that provides copy for them, or you could do Claude, ChatGPT, like wherever you get your copy from. But I essentially will start from the top and I will wireframe, skeleton it all out. I don't even like focus on the design that much. if I focus on the design, I'll put in like, you know how in the style guide, like when you do a section, it will say paint colors and you can choose like one of those like things from your style guide. I'll do that where it's like, okay, I know I want the top to be dark. Now I have the hero. I want, you know, single row, single column, and then a 2-row. I want these elements. I want that background to be light. And then I know in the next section, I think I want this to be light too. And I'm going to do this. So I wireframe everything out on the page. I just do the basics of like this section dark, this section light, this section maybe like light gray, or light blue or light whatever matches with their palette. Then I want to go dark again. Then I want to go light again. Then I want to go dark again. And so I'll map all of that out. And then once I have that in, then I start from the top and I go back down and I just go section by section, fine tuning things, fixing spacing, fixing padding, fixing colors. Now with AI, like if I have an idea for a widget to put inside of like, so for example, ClickFunnels doesn't have a logo carousel yet. It's a feature I've been requesting for a while. Like I just want a widget that we can just natively put inside ClickFunnels. So I have to create that in ChatGPT or Claude. I'm using Claude now. So like I have to create that in Claude. Today, before this call, like for whatever reason, I love you, ClickFunnels. You guys know I love you. I keep on like being like, please do this. Animated progress bar. They don't have an animated progress bar in 2.0 yet. Like they have just the normal one. And so like I had to use Claude to create like an animated progress bar. So like I'll go through and then start like adding the design bits and pieces. And then as I'm building, like sometimes there will be a point where I'm like, oh, maybe this section should be darker. So then I go back. So like, I'm kind of playing in the process. I guess that's the way you could say it, is like, I'm playing in the process. I'm seeing what looks good. And then I typically save my mock-up images for the very last thing. So like, I'll design the sections. And if I know there's going to be an image, I leave a placeholder in, do the whole page, make sure I feel good about it. It looks good. Then I'll do the mock-up image and then I'll do the mobile optimization. So I kind of work backwards in that way, where I know a lot of designers design first for mobile. I already kind of know like, this is what I can and cannot do on mobile. And so like I'll design on desktop and then I'll mobile optimize everything. But that's pretty much my process right there. And then I do the images and then I pop them inside the funnel and then I send it to the client. So that's pretty much it.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future heading for design with AI?
That's a good, deep question. So I'm writing a book on this right now. I have a lot of concern and I have hope at the same time. I'm very much in the middle of this, because I'm seeing this shift happen in the marketplace where like people are getting laid off. Like you can create a lot of stuff in AI very quickly. And what I've been like kind of really feeling with this and what I've been seeing, and this has kind of naturally happened over the last few years too. And I think this just naturally happens with tech. Right now, I think the killer of creativity and maybe the killer of the creative space maybe isn't necessarily like AI itself. I think it's speed. I think because people want things so fast and they can do it so quickly now with AI, like they're willing not to play in the process like I do when I'm building these things out, right? And so I definitely think that the space is shifting quite a bit. I think that people are going to be expecting probably faster turnarounds. Like traditionally, when you used to work with a designer, it could take weeks to months, depending on the project that you were working on. And as tools have developed, it goes quicker and it goes quicker. I work probably a little more abnormally fast than most designers because the last 6 years has just taught me to do that. Like build things super fast, last minute, turn around like 7-figure funnels overnight, right? But like, that's not normal. That's what I also try to tell people. I'm like, that's not normal. And I kind of hate that some of the industry is going that direction, because I feel like maybe we're losing some of the heart of it in the process. And I feel like it is shifting a lot. I'm trying to be careful what I say because I don't want to discourage anybody. Okay, I'm not discouraging anybody. Like AI is not like super evil, right? But it is changing the space quite a bit. And so, you know, and for me too, like I still really struggle with like what I want to use AI for and what I don't want to use it for. And so like there is a lot of hot debate in the creative world about like using AI images and using AI portraits, and because it's gotten so good that you could do full brand portraits on Nano Banana, and you know, like all these things. And so I've seen some like designers who have gone all in it on AI, and like they're creating these like fake models, fake brand shoots, like all this stuff, and looks really good. And then they're designing the stuff in Adobe and whatnot. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, for me personally, I'm so conflicted on it. I'm still kind of feeling it out, trying to see how I feel, because like I still find value in I made a post about this the other day because I got my headshots done recently by a friend of mine. And I was like, I know that I could upload this into Google and I could get a full brand photo shoot of me wearing Louis Vuitton and wearing the craziest, coolest outfits. And I can like AI some more really cool hats. You know I could do all that stuff, and I would save myself between a hat and a Louis Vuitton. I would save myself like probably 5K, right? And just like fashion and design. And then I would save myself another 5K, like hiring the photographer, right? Like, I know I could do that. But at the same time, I'm like, I am so glad that I have been in a position where I can pay somebody for their skill set and their expertise and something that they really love doing. And so I'm still personally trying to find like that balance between like what I want to do with AI and what I don't want to do with AI. But the space is going to AI. It's inevitable. It's already happening. It's happening really quickly. And so I definitely would encourage any of you guys who are like doing funnels, like don't just like call yourself a funnel designer. You're no longer a funnel designer, because like AI can be a funnel designer, right? Like you have to be more than that. You have to be like somebody that's providing outcomes and providing results. It's not just about the design. It's not just about building systems. Like you really have to like focus on these other things too. And so I know that's a lot to like kind of answer your question, but like for me personally, like that's why I'm going through a rebrand right now, and I'm repositioning myself right now because I don't want to be known as just a funnel builder. I still have a lot of people that are kind of like putting me in that category of like, oh, she's a really good branding funnel designer. And I'm like, I need to really stand out as like a creative revenue like growth partner. Like I do more than just funnels and more than just design, right? Like I help with all this stuff. So the market is definitely shifting. It's definitely going way, way, way more AI. So I think like people need to decide, like, do you want to be an AI only business? Do you want to be a mix like AI, like human sort of balanced business? Do you want to have more like custom funnels? So for me, I'm like, I know that I will probably lose money with this, but like I really want to focus more on just like, I build out your funnels. Like they are bespoke premium funnels that it's my ideas, it's my strategy, it's my, you know, whatever. And sure, if I use AI on there, I'll use AI on there, but like they're trusting me to do that, you know? So it's definitely shifting. You guys are probably.
What is your human value add? What do you add as a human that cannot be replaced by AI? Mm-hmm. What do you add as a human, Brandon, that cannot be AI?
I mean, you can get strategy from AI. You can get the tips and the tricks, right? But what you essentially add is, I guess, the implementation part, really, right? That's the biggest bottleneck that most founders have, is like they try to do everything themselves, right? And maybe they don't even know how to prompt the AI properly to get the proper strategy, right? True. And that can be another big mistake for a founder when they go to AI. They don't prompt it right, they don't ask the right questions. They can't, you know, get their idea out in such a way that it responds with the best direction, right?
The best output. Yep.
Right. And so
anyone can instruct it, but to get the best output is you have to have a skill to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, I see it as a tool. I try to leverage it as much as I can, especially when it comes to copy. And I know that's terrible because like once you put the training wheels on, like you never want to take them off again. But I've already read all the books, right? I read all the books, watched all the videos, got all the training. So I know if it gets what comes out, if it's good. And if it's not good, then you tell it what's wrong with it, and it then makes it good. And I think that's where the difference is really.
Yeah.
Not just going blindly with what it puts out.
100%.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. And even with the new AI builder, like I used it as part of the certification deal on a quick what if design, right? Like this is what you probably should have for your landing page for the type of company that they had. And it came out halfway decent. Like it wasn't perfect, but it's like, you need to have something like this. And I can build this. Obviously it will look better because I'm going to build it. I told him, it's like, hey, I just threw this in an AI builder that I have on this platform that you should be on anyway. And this is what it kicked out. And honestly, it wasn't half bad.
Yeah.
But obviously a human touch would make it better.
Yeah, you nailed it. I tried the AI builder the other day for like one of my own funnels. And I was like, nah. So like I'm redoing the whole thing. And then I was interested to see like what Claude would do. And Claude did actually like a much better job. But now I'm like, okay, I see the foundation. Now I can like replicate that and make it better inside of ClickFunnels. So you're right. Like it is a tool that you can leverage, and like it really is still going to need like your expertise, your prompting, knowing what works, knowing what doesn't work, and ultimately like you communicating with the client, and then you monitoring the funnel and coming up with ideas and coming up with different strategies to try new things and test new things. Like there's always going to be that human element. And the main premise of like my upcoming book is like really what makes you different is like your heart and authenticity. And you're like, it really is like who you are at the end of the day. Like you guys wouldn't want to talk to an AI version of me. Like AI version of me doesn't have the story that I just told you on this, on this episode. So like there's still so much value to like that human touch and human creativity and like this. Like the transformational conversations and the transformational like language and just like it's a soul energy, like it's a soul energy, soul exchange thing. So I am like, I would say this, like because I feel like I was a little doom and gloom there for the AI. I will say this. My hope is that it besides the environmental stuff that they got to figure out, besides that, like my hope is that AI will help us leverage the tool to create more freedom in our lives, to actually live life and to actually like enjoy life, right? Like if I can have like AI taking care of a few things for me, I mean, I wish it would do more like household chores and stuff like that. But like, like if it can take care of stuff that would normally take me hours and hours and hours to do, like I'm fine with that. Like I'm cool with that. Like I would love to like have more free time to paint and to play guitar and to play Fortnite and like do whatever, So like, I do have hope that AI can do that. I get a little nervous with some of the stuff because I've seen people already take advantage of people with AI. There's already AI scams, already AI disinformation. I've seen people that, they'll just, I was going to make a video about this on TikTok where people will be like, you can make 10K overnight. And all you have to do is have ChatGPT write you this content and then put it in an AI funnel and then just launch it out to the world. You're going to make all this money overnight. And I'm just like, okay, like, sure, that has probably worked for some people. But what it's also kind of creating the process is like a really saturated kind of like repeated content fluff. So, and like soon people are going to discover you're not the expert. You know what I mean? Like soon, like you're like, people are going to realize it's the same rinse and repeat stuff that's going over. So like, now is why I'm really encouraging people, like really work on your personal branding and becoming like a trustworthy expert, really standing out from the crowd, also standing out from your AI clone for any of you guys who have done that stuff, like making sure that people know when it's you versus like I'll give you an example. A friend of mine ended up in the hospital. And so she had posted this photo of her in the hospital. And I knew about it. I was like, oh, praying for you. And then like, it was like the next day, there was a video of her at the hospital. and like she looks really good, and like I'm watching the video, and I'm just sitting there like, this has to be AI. I mean, she looks great anyways to begin with, but it seemed like a little probably too production-y for like being in the ER, and so like and even like the voice pattern, I could tell like just the way that the voice was. I was like, this has to be a clone. So then halfway through the video, she's like, my AI clone just wanted to tell you, and like she didn't say anything until halfway through the video that it was the AI version of her and not the real version of. But because I know her, I could tell like that wasn't her, but most people aren't going to know that. And so like, I would encourage people, work on your personal branding, really become like well-known. And then, the other like muddy, messy things that we are still learning and we're still figuring out is the whole legal aspect of it too. Like one of my clients is an AI lawyer. His name's Peter Nieves. Shout out to Peter. And he's trying to help a lot of these experts with this right now. Like we just saw that like you can't copyright AI generated art. Like that's a really big win for creatives. Apple literally just, I posted about it on Instagram today. They're starting to add labels to AI generated music. So they're starting to like really, I'm starting to see more companies now do this stuff because there is a little messiness with the legal stuff with like what you can do, what you can't do, what you can copyright, what you can't do. So there's all that stuff too. It will be interesting to see like what happens in the space and where it goes.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of clones and things like that out there, and I think the videos are neat. I think they, can save a lot of time, especially in production, and bring production next to zero for the most part. I wish I knew how to prompt properly to make a video. I'm still getting output like Will Smith eating spaghetti version 1. If you've ever seen that, that video, that's what still comes out when I try. But I still think it's slop for the most part. The videos that make me the angriest are the animal videos. Where it's like the guy rescues the mountain lion and doesn't get eaten apart or something like that. You know what I mean? So I just hope it doesn't really hurt true creatives and people that are really trying to make good content that's either informative or really entertaining. I get it if you need like a 1-minute promo to push your widget out, that's perfectly fine. But if you're just creating slop to create slop to get eyeballs on it, like that's terrible. And it makes everything more expensive at the end of the day. And like environmental stuff aside, obviously that hurts and you got to pay to clean that up. But when people are actually running legit ads on these videos that just happen to be on these videos, like it just makes everything more expensive against people creating the good content where ads should be run.
I believe they're almost creating full-length motion videos using AI. One of the latest one that I've seen is Jackie Chan versus Bruce Lee. It's pretty interesting. But really good though.
That's crazy.
The last one I saw was Will Smith eating spaghetti version 10, and it was like Will Smith in the Civil War era. And then at the end of it, he turns into the spaghetti monster or whatever. I don't know, but it was
cool.
It was pretty elaborate.
All right. Well, we don't want you to get out of here tonight without telling everyone what you have going on right now and where everyone can find you if they want to reach out to you. And what's this thing you have on OfferLab too?
Oh yeah. So on OfferLab currently, I have my ultimate font guide for Canva. So it is a mix of like foundations and principles of typography. So like why typography's, why you should learn it, what it is even to begin with. You learn some of the foundational things about typography. And then I share like all my favorite, because there's thousands of fonts inside of Canva. So I share up to 100 of my favorite fonts in there. And then I have something called a font pairing cheat sheet. So with fonts, you can compare them together so they look really nice on the design. And so I have a cheat sheet that you can just copy and paste into your designs and then, see how it fits and see how it flows there. But it saves you time. Instead of like wasting hours scrolling through Canva, you could just get this guide and see exactly what I've used. It has a mix too. I have like my sans serif fonts, which are very clean and modern. I have my serif fonts, which are more traditional and classic and editorial. And then I have script fonts, and then I have display fonts, which are the fancier ones. So it's a really cool little guide. I have it structured in a cool way so you can see what it looks like in all caps and lowercase and on a dark background versus a light background. And I've got keywords. I've got all this geeky stuff in there. So it's only $10. It's on OfferLab. So you could use one of their links to go ahead and grab it if you want to grab it. I am working on, Canva will only let me do 100 fonts in the file. So I'm working on another guide, like a part 2 to this one. And I'm working on a color one as well. So I'll have like a color booklet that you guys can go through. And I'm working on a few other like really fun, lower ticket sort of things. I also have a school group where I coach in there. I do creative coaching. And so I do Funnel Fridays where I give feedback on funnels. You guys can watch me as I build out funnels. You can ask questions about funnels. And then in the group, we just talk about Canva, ClickFunnels, anything that people have questions on that they just need an answer. They need feedback. That's what that group is for. It's an amazing group of people. That's called Higher Calling Creative Club. And then if you want to like follow me, I am the lovely Lyss on all my socials. And on Facebook, it's under Alyssa Aviles. I primarily post on my personal page. I like gave up on the fan page a long time ago. And because like now they like prioritize the professional pages. So I'm like, oh, I got that page, but I never post on that. So I'm at the lovely Lyss on social medias. My website, I mean, you could go there, but it's just a coming soon page because I'm working on it right now. But it's thelovelylyss.com.
Is that the brand new link in bio on your Facebook page?
Yes. Yeah. And I have that too. So yes, I've updated like a few things here and there. So like I'm in the process of like updating everything right now. So, I should have probably had that done before this podcast, but it's fine.
That's fine.
Just gotta get things done and get it out there, right? So link in bio works.
Yes. And we have the QR code up there. If you scan that, it will take you, and she's giving it to you special as your pitch practice to show listeners for $10. Okay, that's special.
Special. Links in the comments on my videos there, so don't miss it, as well as the opportunity to get your 1 Comma Club award. Okay? So you can get that. It's not hard. You can get it. Link in the comments.
Yes, awesome. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast having you. Oh my gosh.
I love hanging out with you guys. I would do it again. So, if you ever want to hang out, let's chat again.
Well, yes, I've got some really great tips from you. Appreciate it. But yeah, other than that, I think that's going to be it for tonight's show. Special episode powered by Clickfunnels. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all again on the next episode. Remember, let's keep making the world a better place, one funnel at a time.